Thanks for watching County Report this week. I'm Susan Kenedy. The Subdivision Staging Policy sets the pace for future growth in this county and is approved in the second year of each council term. Formerly known as the Growth Policy, the current Subdivision Staging Policy consists of three major tests: area-wide transportation, local transportation, and a schools test. Council members told us how this new policy will promote smarter growth.
These tests move us toward using nationally recognized standards and nationally recognized ways of measuring traffic intensity. And so I think it's a good thing, because I think what we're going to get is more accurate information than we got before. We decided today, for example, that in White Oak we're going to use the new test rather than the old test. And the argument that I made, and I think everybody else agreed with, was why would you use an old tool if it was an inadequate tool when you've got a better tool? And I think that what it leads to is it'll give you more information. It'll tell you more accurately what we need to do if we're going to fix the problems, and give everybody a fuller understanding of what the whole magnitude of traffic congestion is and alternatives for dealing with it.
The 2010 census showed a dramatic shift in the county's demographics, and as part of addressing the emerging needs of a changing community, county officials held the first diversity summit to discuss strategies on how to better serve those needs. Lorna Virgili has the story.
Susan, it was an all-day summit with high-ranking government officials trying to decipher how the county can deliver high-quality services to a changing population. Now, county government has to speed up and adjust to shape county policy for the next several years, aligning priorities with services provided to a new demographic.
Number one, we understand what some of these challenges are. We have, through our county stat and other areas of information that could assist us. We have the leadership, I think, now has been tested, that understands what we're facing. But it requires all of us to be honest about the challenges we face, that why you're here today, to be open in our discussions, offer ideas, and let's build a better foundation for which we can continue to work from. We have that opportunity today, but we do not have a lot of time. Because if we make mistakes, the challenge for us in public services, those mistakes are transparent. So we have to get it right. We have to get it right the first time.
The 2010 census proved that Montgomery County is now a minority-majority community, and this poses many challenges for departments like the police, where ethnic profiling training and language capability are just a few items to be addressed on a daily basis.
There's also associated issues with the new immigrant community that make them unique in terms of our service delivery. You've got the reality is that many folks are targeted as crime victims because of the fact that the people that would prey on them think that they're not going to call the police. And whether it's because of their immigration status, or whether it's because they come from a country where the police are not to be trusted, and the police are a corrupt, brutal organization. These folks come to the United States and they find themselves disproportionately crime victims as well. And what we also know is that the percent and the amount of unreported crime in many of these new immigrant communities is very high. And the higher the rate of unreported crime, the less safe that community is.
The goal of this diversity summit is to hear what some departments are already implementing to serve all communities, and to develop a strategy to measure the delivery of high-quality service throughout county agencies.
We are supposed to be problem solvers. I know what our process says, I know what the law says, but there's still a level of service that we're going to be given that says, I want to try to address your concern. It may not be anything, again, that comes under my auspices or my authority, but there are other kinds of things that can be addressed, that can be dealt with. And sometimes in our work, unlike maybe some in work that may exist in the room, one of our processes is sometimes just to listen. I mean, some folks just want to be heard.
We like to be ambassadors to the county executive and the county as a whole in all the community meetings that we go to. So You know, we're on the radio with our radio show. We are on at community meetings in presence, just like many of your departments do it as well, except we focus more on the ethnic communities, the Asian, the Middle Eastern, Latino, African, Caribbean, and so forth. So, you know, I think outreach is, you have to use every medium available. It's everybody's job to do outreach and community engagement.
Department directors and other officials spent several hours evaluating the gaps in service. They shared specific experiences about diversity, gave recommendations, and are to draft a plan for future action. For County Report this week in Silver Spring, I'm Lorna Virgili.
Councilmember Nancy Floreen has announced she will introduce a bill that would ban smoking on property owned or leased by Montgomery County. It's estimated in Montgomery County, 1 in 12 adults smoke cigarettes. Floreen says she wants to do her part in preventing the spread of cancer.
I have to tell you, as an elected official, when you've had your own personal exposure to a dreaded health issue, it really forces you to sit back and think, well, what can I do? What can we do as a community to protect ourselves? So this is basically filling in the gaps in Montgomery County for the protecting residents really from secondhand smoke and limiting their exposure.
On November 6, voters overwhelmingly approved a ballot measure that will open doors for disabled residents who are looking for jobs. Question A asked voters if they wanted to amend the county charter and give the county the ability to hire individuals with severe physical and mental disabilities. Councilmember Phil Andrews sponsored the original legislation and has now proposed a hiring program for those individuals.
It will allow us to set up a program like the federal government has had for a long time, where managers can use a flexible system to go to a list of qualified people with severe disabilities and see if a person on that list is able to do the job that the person is looking for. And it will speed that process up. It will provide more employment opportunities for qualified people with severe disabilities, and it will be certainly a help to many people, but also to wounded warriors who come back through our county, coming back from abroad, treated at the Walter Reed National Military Medical Center. Those are, I think, some of the individuals that will benefit from this, and I think as a county, we have a special obligation, because of the presence of Walter Reed, to be a model employer of people with disabilities, including of wounded warriors.
Still to come on County Report this week, a Montgomery College professor receives a special recognition. And some Montgomery County school students get an opportunity to strut their stuff when County Report this week continues.
Montgomery County 911.
I just saw a car crash.
If you ever have an emergency, be glad you're in Montgomery County. Thanks to the ambulance transport law, the county has more money to cut response times. Buy new ambulances and fire engines and hire more paramedics and firefighters. In an emergency, don't ever hesitate to call 911. If you live in Montgomery County, you will never get a bill or pay a dime. Hopefully, you'll never need to call Montgomery County Fire and Rescue, but if you do, we're there for you. Welcome back to County Report this week. We're now joined by Officer Rebecca Innocenti from Montgomery County Police, who's here with some information on 2 recent robberies that took place in the Up County. Thanks for being with us, Officer. What can you tell us?
Sure. Thank you, Susan. Robbery detectives are releasing photographs of 2 different suspects believed to be involved in 2 different commercial armed robberies in the county. At this time, detectives don't believe these robberies are related and do believe the robberies were committed by 2 different individuals. The first robbery in which we're releasing photographs of the suspect occurred on November 4th. That occurred at a Subway restaurant in Germantown. The suspect entered the business at approximately 9:20 a.m., displayed a handgun, and forced the employee to open the cash register. Once the suspect received money, he fled on foot through the back of the business. The second robbery occurred on November November 5th. That robbery occurred at a Liberty gas station in Montgomery Village. At approximately 6:30 at night, the suspect entered the business, displayed a handgun, and forced the employee to a corner of the business while placing the handgun to the employee's back. The suspect then opened the cash register himself, took money from that cash register, and fled on foot from the business. Again, detectives are releasing photographs of these two separate individuals and are asking if anyone has information about these robberies or the suspects involved to please call robbery detectives at 240-773-5100.
Thanks so much, officer. Hopefully these photographs will help you solve both of these crimes. That was Rebecca Innocenti from Montgomery County Police. What do you get when you mix enthusiastic high school students, dedicated teacher sponsors, upbeat dance music, and then put all of that in a world-class venue? It's the 13th annual MCPS Latin Dance Competition at the Music Center at Strathmore. MCPS TV has the story.
Dozens of talented MCPS students from 6 MCPS high schools had an opportunity to showcase their dancing skills during the 13th annual MCPS Latin Dance Competition that took place at the Music Center at Strathmore. The competition is sponsored by the After School Dance Fund, whose mission is to build strong Latin dance clubs in MCPS and promote health, exercise, cultural awareness, and unity through Latin dance education.
Latin dance education has become the means of for kids to really socialize, to get to know each other, to respect each other better. There's team building in it, conflict resolution. It's not just learning how to dance, not to mention the cultural aspects of it.
Hundreds of MCPS students, families, and community members packed the Music Center to cheer for their favorite dance teams and celebrate Latino heritage.
Well, family is important in the Hispanic culture, and just an opportunity to celebrate our culture and our bond with our children is amazing. This is just an awesome way to introduce what we value into the MCPS culture.
Salsa, cha-cha, merengue, and bachata. These were just some of the exciting styles of Latin dances on display during the event. While the students from the Albert Einstein High School Latin Dance Team won the overall Best in Show award, for the coaches and student dancers who prepared over several months for the big event, being a part of the competition and their respective dance groups has taught them much more than just how to dance.
I realized how we were just one big group that shared the same passion for dance, and we learned all about our roots.
Dancing itself allows students to express themselves that words really can't do. Personally, I've become more in touch with my roots.
We get to showcase who we are culturally in a very positive way. They become leaders, they become more mature, responsible, and like the other kids have mentioned, they get more united and they look out for each other a lot more.
The results for Maryland Professor of the Year are in, and a math professor from Montgomery College's Germantown campus has been announced as this year's winner. This is the 4th year in a row that a professor from Montgomery College has won this distinguished award. Michael Brown has the details.
Professor Hammond, I'm so delighted that you won the Maryland Professor of the Year award.
Math Professor John Hammond serves as chair of the Germantown Mathematics Department, and now he is the proud winner of the prestigious Maryland Professor of the Year award.
I am very excited about this award, and I'm deeply honored.
The Maryland Professor of the Year is a highly regarded award given by the Carnegie Foundation for the Advancement of Teaching and the Council for Advancement and Support of Education, where not only the resume of the professor counts, but also what other faculty members and students feel about a given educator.
One of the best things I had going for me was the fact that I had some fabulous peers and students who had outstanding things to say about me.
Professor Hammond has been teaching at MC for 6 years with 3 as chair. Among the classes that he teaches is linear algebra, which he says is one of his favorite classes to teach.
It is a first kind of introduction to proofs for a lot of students. It's a course they take after the calculus sequence, and it really starts to show them the power of mathematics and what you can do with mathematics.
Only one professor per institution can be nominated for the Maryland Professor of the Year award, And this year, one of MC's own garnered the honor once again. For Hammond's colleagues, it was a well-deserved honor.
He is an outstanding faculty member, and so many students struggled in math. Good students struggle in math. They often think they aren't math people. And not only does he deal well with students who come with some of that baggage, he has a marvelous way of not just being able to explain procedural stuff, but he truly tries to help students understand and get a sense of what mathematics is about.
Among colleagues, students, and administrators, John is described as a passionate professor who is fun, likable, and easygoing, but also committed to his profession. All traits that, when combined together, can elevate a professor's success for them and their students.
I think it's a very exciting news for the college. We are really delighted with Professor Hammond's recognition. I want to congratulate Professor Hammond, but I also want to congratulate all outstanding faculty at Montgomery College.
For County Report this week in Germantown, this is Michael Brown reporting.
Up next, when County Report this week continues, the city of Rockville pays tribute to some of our nation's heroes. We'll be right back. Welcome back to County Report. The City Manager's office is the focal point of the day-to-day administration of Rockville City government. Just last month, Barbara Matthews took over the job of City Manager for Rockville. She has more than 25 years of local government experience, most recently serving as the City Manager for Tacoma Park. Ms. Matthews is here to talk to us about her goals as City Manager. Thank you so much for being with us today. And as I mentioned, you were in the city of Tacoma Park for the past 8 years as the City Manager. What do you see as the differences so far between Rockville and Tacoma Park?
I think the differences that I've seen are obviously just the size of the community. Tacoma Park is about 17,000 in population. Rockville is obviously closing in on 70,000. The size of the budget and the service mix. Rockville has planning and zoning authority that Tacoma Park did not have, and Rockville offers utility services. So just kind of the service mix and just the size of the community and the city budget.
What right now are the top goals that you have? I know there are several issues that are facing Rockville at this time. What would you like to tackle first?
You know, I think the hardest part when you change jobs is just trying to get a feel for the organization and the community. As you mentioned, I did bring to Rockville over 25 years of experience in local government, but the part I still need to learn is about Rockville as a community and the city organization. I'm very fortunate to have be managing a community that has a proud history of being well managed. I think some of my goals are to find new and different ways to engage people in their city government, to make sure that they feel that they have a voice. And I think part of my job is also to look for ways that people feel like their quality of life is improving under my management of the city.
So as far as you're concerned, your vision is to pretty much keep things running as smoothly as they have been these past several years.
I think to preserve the best of what Rockville has had and to hopefully bring some new ideas. I think one of the challenges that Rockville has, like other communities, is trying to find ways to maintain our services with a declining budget. So I think that's always a challenge. So I am starting my budget process now, and we'll be having ongoing conversations with the mayor and council as well as city residents about what matters to them, and to make sure as I put together my first budget for the city of Rockville that it reflects their service priorities.
Yeah, you mentioned that budget, and there is always that issue of tax duplication in the city of Rockville. You guys pay a little bit extra to live in Rockville. Is that ever something that you would consider taking on as city manager?
Actually, I already have sort of taken on that issue. I was fortunate to be a part of the county executive's municipal revenue sharing task force. Worked on that for a little over 5 years, and towards the end of the task force actually became one of its co-chairs. So tax duplication is an issue I've been working on for the entire time I've worked in Montgomery County. I guess my goal, and I'm sure it's the goal of the county staff as well, is to hopefully reach some agreement on how municipalities should be compensated for the services they provide so that it doesn't become a point of contention every year.
Okay, well, we'll be waiting to see what comes of that. Thank you so much for joining us today. That's Barb Matthews, the new city manager for the city of Rockville. On the 11th hour of the 11th day during the 11th month, the city of Rockville, along with the rest of the country, paid tribute to those who served in our military. And our Rockville 11's Bridget Breuer has more.
Rockville is always out front and with wonderful ceremonies for special days, and I think the Veterans Day one is one of the best.
The mayor and council, residents, and veterans gathered together at Rockville's Veterans Park to recognize and honor those who have served our country.
I've gotten to know so many people who have served, and my husband did, and the people who really gave their lives for our country, and yet I think they're our role models.
It's a moving day. It's a day that makes people who still carry that desire in their hearts to come and recognize those who have shared their enthusiasm for keeping this country free.
I think it's important to do several things, to honor obviously those who served, those whom we've lost as well, but also to give our community and our nation a sense of our purpose.
Michael Marceau served in the Vietnam War. He shared his thoughts on how he thinks the country should move forward to not only honor, but help the nation's veterans.
I think that we need to bring our veterans back and give them some job training so they can become part of the civilian world, repair those bridges, those roads, those electrical systems, teach them about green jobs, teach them how to get involved in their community as teachers, as instructors, as mentors to some of the younger generations.
For more on Rockville's veterans, be sure to watch Rockville 11's special documentary called A Salute to Rockville's Veterans. You can watch this on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/City of Rockville. For County Report This Week, I'm Bridget Breuer.
Now it's time for this week's transportation update with Tom Pogue.
Hi, I'm Tom Pogue, Community Relations Manager for the Department of Transportation. Here's an update from Montgomery County. Our highway services crews have begun their annual leaf vacuuming collection. From early November through December within leaf districts, crews will make 2 passes on each street several weeks apart. Signs announcing the collection will be posted. Green signs announcing the first collection and red signs stating the final collection date. Leaves should be placed in piles on the grass or behind the curb. Putting leaves in the street can disrupt traffic, interfere with water drainage, or pose a fire hazard. Sticks, branches, and garden debris should be placed in containers or tied in bundles and put out at the curb for recycling. To make sure MCDOT is prepared for winter weather, Highway Services held its annual Snow Summit. Kicked off by the county executive, the summit brought together county crews and contractors to review snow removal strategies. Highway will hold a practice drill for county crews to test equipment and procedures and familiarize new drivers with the snow routes. The public is reminded of our website map that provides information on any storm, including road closures and access to traffic cameras. When a storm hits, go to montgomerycountymd.gov. We're working to keep you moving.
When we come back, it might seem like a scene out of a movie, but in reality, county police are not acting when it comes to practicing defensive driving. Stay with us.
Montgomery College students have until December 4th to apply for a scholarship from the Hillman Entrepreneurs Program. The scholarship covers a wide variety of transferable majors and continues with the student from MC through graduation from University of Maryland. Montgomery College and 3 other 2-year schools will partner with the University of Maryland, Baltimore County to build a model to ensure that more transfer students earn degrees in science, technology, engineering, and math fields. The program is funded by a grant from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. And now's the best time to register for Montgomery College's spring semester to make sure you get your first choice of classes. Choose courses for more than 130 majors and programs offered at our campus locations and online. Register today online or at any of our 3 campuses.
Welcome back to County Report this week. Police officers are known for their ability to handle a weapon, interrogate suspects, and solve crimes, but defensive driving skills are also an important part of everyday police work. And here in Montgomery County, the police department has been proactive in making sure safety goes hand in hand with speed.
Today, the recruits are working on pursuit driving. Since I was a very young person, I like cars. I like driving. When I was on the street, I always pushed it. Back in the day, I'm assuming 20 years ago, okay, this is the car, these are the keys, you go. After some time, I think it was in the year 2000, I went to the collision reconstruction unit. That unit investigates all the fatalities in the county. Somebody dies, we went there and we did the whole investigation. And that really opened my eyes. And that shows you why people wreck, why they lose control, why people get hurt. Today, we talk about our statistics. How many collisions do we have last year? How many collisions involve cruisers? How many of those collisions were at fault? Why are we getting involved in collisions? The statistics. So we make sure that they understand everything.
They come here with a certain skill set, and they come here very eager, and I've never seen a person come here totally reckless or totally unclear of what that person needs to do. So they're at a point now where they're absorbing all these and tweaking their current driving skills. And that's what we're doing up here, is we're just kind of adding on. We're teaching them now, instead of wrapping their hands on their steering wheel like this, that we teach them, like students are being taught in high school, driver ed, to do a shuffle steer, which is kind of a push-pull. We teach them to properly look further beyond the hood of the car to get the whole scope of what's in front of them. We're reinforcing all the basic skills that they've learned from their parents or from these driver training programs, and right now we're putting it here in a very concentrated effort to make sure that we put out very clear people, and very competent, I should say. And you see that first cone there, it's called an apex cone, and at that point there, based on the training so far, they need to accelerate somewhat to the outside position, and at that point there, they're going to demonstrate their braking. And then to do so properly, that'll enable them to come into that first left-hand 90 turn and keeping it close to the apex, which is the point closest to, or the apex of that turn there, the peak of the turn. And then to being able to properly negotiate the turn, go in slow, accelerate at the apex to make them go out fast. Going slow to come out fast is pretty much.
And now it's time for this week's Brookside Clips and Tips.
Our annual Garden of Lights winter walk-through holiday light display will begin right after Thanksgiving. If you haven't been here before, let me tell you, it's a spectacular event. Visitors will enjoy walking through the gardens with close to 1 million colorful lights, all shaped in imaginative displays. Everything ranging from giant flowers to animals, an 11-foot giraffe. We even have a mythical sea monster that we call Nessie. At the conservatory, we'll have a miniature train exhibit running through a holiday display of poinsettias, flowering plants, and evergreens. And then also up in the visitor center, there are volunteer musicians performing every night of the show. If you have been to the Garden of Lights before, then you know that this is a wildly popular event. We get on average between 40 and 50,000 visitors each winter. So if you'd like to avoid some long lines and maximize your visit, I've got some tips for you. Tip number 1, come early. The gates officially open at 5:30, so be on time and maybe even a little early, but you didn't hear me say that. And that way you still have a chance to get home and have plenty of time for the kids to do their homework. My second tip is come during the week when the admission price is a little bit lower. Normally, the weekend price is $25 per carload of people, but during the week, the price goes down to $20, and the lines definitely aren't as long. And then finally, my third tip, if you'd like to really save some time, you can enjoy a light dinner here at the Garden of Lights. Our concessionaire will be selling soups, sandwiches, chilies, hot cocoa, coffee, tea, and of course some sweets. So come to the Garden of Lights and enjoy all that we have to offer. Please check our website for details at www.brooksidegardens.org.
Well, that does it for this week's edition of County Report This Week. Be sure to tune in again next week for a look at what's going on inside Montgomery County. I'm Susan Kenedy. Have a great week.